I'm Scott Beaulier, Director of the Johnson Center for Political Economy here at Troy University and host of EconVersations. EconVersations focuses on themes related to economic freedom, individual liberty, and the defense of capitalism. That's what our center is also committed to, and tonight's show is a very special show for us because instead of talking about research and what some of my colleagues are doing or what some of our guests focus their research on, we get to turn our attention to a couple of really great Troy students and talk to them about how these ideas are affecting them, how they've become introduced to the ideas of economic freedom and liberty, and what they're doing to advance liberty as students and perhaps in their careers after their time at Troy. Our center, one of its most important contributions is in transforming students. One of our key donors, Manuel Johnson, was transformed when he was here at Troy many years ago. He picked up economics, studied it, and fell in love with it, and believed that it was very important in protecting America and making America great. These students have been transformed in a very short time into solid defenders of liberty, and we're really excited about where they might be heading in their career. Joining me tonight on the show are Brad McGlawn, a computer science student at Troy University, and Hannah Favre, a psychology student. The two of them have been brought on the show because together they formed our first club that's linked and affiliated with the Johnson Center. It's a Students for Liberty Club that was founded and has had a very successful first year. Guys, it's great to have you on the show.
It's great to be here.
Yeah. Let's just start with your backgrounds a little bit. How'd you each end up at Troy, and where are you at in your studies at Troy?
Well, I came to Troy because I got a scholarship here. It was the best scholarship that was offered, and I really liked the computer science department here. So I decided on Troy that way.
And are you a junior right now?
Yes, I'm a junior as of the end of this semester.
Hannah?
I came to Troy actually because of the band. It's a phenomenal program, and while I'm no longer doing that, I love Troy. It's a good place. It's very homely almost, and it's close to home too, which is really convenient. And I got into psychology because I just would love to help people help themselves.
Mm-hmm. And so what brought you two together to form this club this year, Students for Liberty? Somewhere along the way you must have had some interest in libertarian free market ideas.
Yeah, I would be lying if I said that it wasn't Ron Paul who got me interested. But after hearing him talk, hearing some of his ideas, I got a little bit deeper into it. I started reading Mises and Hayek, and then I got a little bit deeper even still and started reading Rothbard and Spooner, and got onto this anarchist kick. And I noticed that she was also a very ardent Ron Paul supporter, and I thought, well, maybe she's interested in the same kind of stuff I am. So I went and talked to her, and we decided to start a club.
So is that true for you too, Hannah? It was Ron Paul that really sparked your interest in these ideas? Yeah.
Definitely.
And then from Paul to the Austrian economists and formation of a club.
Yeah.
What is it about Ron Paul that he does so well with people in your age group, these 18 to 25-year-olds? If you look, he polls in the neighborhood of what Obama was polling in terms of that segment of the audience. Is it just the drug issue, or is there other stuff about him that makes him an appealing person to listen to and learn from?
Well, it's the drug issue is a big one, but it's not just the drugs. It's the whole freedom of choice thing more than that, really. And he's really the only peace candidate. It's our age group that's going and fighting these wars that we don't need to be in. So that really appeals to us as well.
You mentioned that you're an anarchist.
Yeah.
Are you both anarchists?
I'm doing more research towards the fact, but
Okay.
I could say that I'm leaning towards it.
Now, most people think of anarchists as folks who assassinate presidents and throw Molotov cocktails into buildings and protest the WTO.
Yeah,
is that what you guys are?
Yeah, absolutely not. I'm an anarcho-capitalist.
Okay.
All of my my foundational belief is one of nonviolence. It's the non-aggression principle is what I like to live by. Never initiate force against somebody else. Retaliatory force is fine, but there's no, really everyone who believes in these same beliefs as I do, there's nobody that would assassinate anybody if they really do deep down share these same beliefs.
Are there other types of people in your group besides anarcho capitalists? Hannah, you're reading about it, so you're not there yet. Are there just some libertarians who believe in like a limited government, a small state?
Yeah.
And I guess their limit would be, well, the courts have to be provided by the government, and maybe defense has to be provided by the government.
Yeah.
So do you have a spectrum in your club?
I would say, well, in our club, we've got a great range of people.
Okay.
The majority of them believe in kind of the night watchman state, like Friedman believed in. And then there's actually a socialist in our organization as well. So really what we do in our club is we just sit and discuss ideas, talk, try to spread our ideas for sure, but we listen to them and actually have good debate on it. Nobody gets upset. They just sit and talk.
What kind of topics are you all discussing? Just like contemporary issues like, say, the death penalty and abortion and things like that, or the tax code, or are you focusing on like specific theoretical issues within free market thought?
Well, we've discussed abortion. We've discussed how a free market system would provide courts. We went over that one day. We talk about economics a lot. We talk about like what taxes do, like how the collapse of 2008 happened. We went over that briefly.
Yeah, there's really no limit to what we can discuss, I'd say.
How often are you all meeting?
Once a week.
Okay.
Mondays at 5.
Okay, that's kind of the normal time, and we have some space for you that I've noticed some of your meetings in. It's in the, we call it the Johnson Center Library, this library that is right next to the Johnson Center that has the Liberty Fund book collection in it. Looks like you're having a good time. In addition to meeting each week, you've done a couple of big events this year that have been successful. Can you talk about those?
Well, we did, our first thing that we did was we took part in a Educate Against Crony Capitalism Day. We set up out on the quad out there and kind of passed out some pamphlets. It was a national event that was coordinated through the Students for Liberty national organization, I believe. And they sent us free material. They sent us a banner to set up. And we actually, we handed out over 200 pamphlets in the first hour, and we were just out of information. So we just sat there with our banner the rest of the day and just talked to people.
Before you tell me about some of your other events, most of our viewers probably don't even know what capitalism means, or they have some vague idea of what capitalism means. Crony capitalism? What in the world is that?
Crony capitalism is kind of a corporatist effect. It's what we've got in the United States today, for sure. These bailouts and stuff like that never would have happened under a pure capitalist economy. Crony capitalism, to me, is privatized profits and socialized losses, whereas pure capitalism is privatized profits and losses.
That makes sense. So the bailout of 2008 is objectionable then because it was subsidizing losses and socializing them. Some of the interventions into, say, General Motors and Solyndra and things like this are examples of crony capitalism. And when you guys talk about capitalism, then you're talking about a system that's kind of treating all companies and individuals as like equal when it comes to the tax code and regulatory code. And,
absolutely.
And with respect to government too then. So you had this event that was just talking about how we believe in capitalism, but not this capitalism?
Right.
Okay.
Because most people seem to blame capitalism for all the things going on and why all the corporations are getting special treatment and everything, and that's just not true.
Yeah, people often, in my own experience, equate just being pro-business as being a capitalist. And I say, no, I'm really not pro-business. You know, businesses should fail. Lots of them should fail.
Absolutely.
And that would be a healthy economic system. But when you're a capitalist, you're pro-business and must have been pro-investment banker bailouts and whatnot. And certainly that's not where you guys are coming from at all. So this was an event that you did in the fall, the crony capitalism one?
No, it was
the
right
spring?
at the
Okay.
beginning of the spring semester. We actually,
The
this
club
was our
formed in the
first
spring?
semester
Okay, wow.
on campus.
Okay. So you did that event, and I know there was a wall of free speech that I saw.
it
Were
was.
you pretty happy with the turnout and the participation in the wall of free speech? And what were your goals in doing that?
Well, we were just trying to get people to remember that they do have rights regardless of what people tell them. You can say anything you want to. We don't have a First Amendment to talk about the weather. We have a First Amendment to say some pretty controversial things, and we were just trying to get people to remember that. But we had great turnout. Actually, our most common phrase on there was "free Boosie," which I didn't quite understand.
You don't know what that means? I
well,
sure as heck
Boosie
don't.
is a rapper who's
Okay.
in jail, and I guess people just want him out of jail.
I see. Huh. Boosie. I'm stuck in the Rolling Stones and Beatles. So
You're lucky.
I'm with you
Yeah.
on that.
Did you get much feedback after the event? Students appreciating that you were pushing free speech on campus, or did anyone from the administration have anything to say about it?
Well, they say that copying somebody is the best thing you can say about them, and we actually had a copycat on campus. Somebody else came out with a wall of free speech about a month later.
Huh.
So I guess it went over pretty well with people. We definitely had a board filled with just everything that you can possibly imagine.
I have to be honest, you all have been extremely helpful to me in making the year a success. And one of the big things you've done is mobilize students and get your club to participate in events. And the turnout for some of our guest speakers has been just amazing. It's exceeded my expectations. We've brought in 4 people, plus we've had 2 major events, Arthur Brooks from American Enterprise Institute and John Stossel from Fox Business Channel visited this year. So that's 6 big events plus an Institute for Humane Studies weekend. And not only were there a lot of bodies there, but there were really great questions and people engaged. Is your sense that there's an appetite for this on campus, like students are really wanting to be challenged and want to talk about these ideas? Or, I mean, it sure seems like you're finding people in your club and to attend these events too.
Yeah, I'm actually pretty surprised about it as well. The attitude among all my friends and everything, they might not be as in depth as we are per se, but they're willing to sit and listen and actually think about stuff. They're willing to take on new information and maybe even override what they previously thought. And I'm really happy about that.
Yeah. Are there other people in your majors who are into these things too? Are there other psychologists who are talking to you about political and economic ideas, Hannah?
I've talked to my roommate a little about it, and she's a psychology major. Not that I know of, though.
Yeah.
I think, but people do realize that there's something wrong with the system we have, and people are looking for answers.
One of my favorite pictures from the year is you all with John Stossel at a breakfast holding this "No, They Can't" sign. What was it like meeting and visiting with Stossel?
It was fantastic for me. He was actually one of the first. My parents always watched Fox News growing up, and I would watch John Stossel and Bill O'Reilly with them. Those are the only 2 shows that I would even sit through. So it was pretty amazing to me to get to meet one of the people that I grew up watching, that I really looked up to. One of my idols, really.
Were you able to get a book? I know they sold out real quickly.
I was.
Yeah.
Good.
The Johnson Center actually provided me with a book.
It's amazing how that happens.
So we got a sign. We both got a signed copy.
That's great. Let's talk a little bit about the year ahead for you all. You've had a really great first semester as a club. You're recognized on campus. You have an active group of 10 regular members, something like that. Any plans for next year in terms of the events or things that you're trying to do? I know there's a video contest that you've participated in recently.
Yeah, we've we've come up with a song about Milton Friedman. We've entered the "What Does Milton Mean to Me" video contest. So hopefully we can win that and get some funds in order to put on a concert next semester. We're thinking about we were throwing names out. We haven't come up with a particular name yet, but Liberty Fest or something like that, where we can just get some local bands to come and play, and maybe a speaker or something to come and talk to people about what we're all about. Maybe get several hundred people at the same time to just listen to our message.
Mm-hmm. And any other, you'll still meet on a regular basis,
Yeah.
and
We'll still have once per week meetings for
Okay.
sure. I don't know what I would do without those meetings. It's our time to let out all of our political frustration in just a friendly environment. It's really neat.
Now, your political frustrations, I'm assuming, must be, you must be frustrated a bit that it doesn't look like it's going to be Ron Paul's year, and the choices at the national level are going to be basically between Romney and Obama.
Yeah.
How does that make you feel?
Well, I'm not too upset about
Mm-hmm.
it. It's about what I expected,
Mm-hmm.
honestly. But you would be surprised, actually. His campaign has a delegate strategy that seems to be paying off pretty well. I know he got all of the delegates, 100% of them, from Maine, and he's won several other states, including Iowa, who they said that, well, first it was Romney who won, and then it was Santorum, but
Right.
actually it was Ron Paul that came out with 20 of 26 delegates. And then he won New Hampshire, who also Romney had won that. But you've just got to pay attention to the underground news sources rather than the mainstream media.
Mm-hmm.
And regardless of the outcome, I think it's definitely a good starting point for the spread of the message.
Yeah. Well, it sure seems that, if you look past the party of the candidates, they're all getting this message that they need to be on board with economic freedom, restrained spending. Even Mitt Romney's getting that message a little bit, and we'll see what happens in the election. And I'm older than you all, and have grown very skeptical of anything happening at the political level. So I get way more excited when I see students like you guys who are out doing great work here on the campus, because I feel that a lot more than what they do with my taxes at the federal level. I mean, I'll get taxed tens of thousands of dollars by either of them, and it probably won't vary too much. The Johnson Center tries to reach you all, of course, by helping your student group, your advisors, Dr. Smith from the center, but we're also offering some classes that are trying to engage students. Even our principal's classes, when they're taught by a Johnson Center scholar, bring in a lot more in themes of free markets and the role free enterprise plays in our economic system. But you, Brad, have had the chance to take Dr. Crowley's Economic and Moral Foundations of Capitalism class, and I'm not sure, Hannah, if you're having a chance to take many econ classes with your psychology major, but how was it to take that capitalism class?
It was great. It was basically a discussion-based course. We read Ayn Rand's Atlas Shrugged over the course of the semester, and we just sat and talked about it. That's a great free market book, for sure. And we read different authors, including one of my favorites, Walter Block. We got to some of his stuff, and people call him crazy, but I found myself sitting in the class defending him, while these other free market individuals were attacking some of the stuff that he was saying in class. That was pretty fun.
Was it his book, Defending the Undefendable?
It was.
Yeah.
It was.
Hannah, have you had much chance to take classes that engage you with free market ideas, whether they're economics classes or poli-sci?
Well, no, but I do plan to take a micro
Okay.
as soon as possible.
Would that be a principal's class, like an introductory one?
The
or?
introductory one.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Any big plans to stay engaged with free market thinkers over the summer? Are you guys doing any conferences or reading anything after you get a little break after finals here?
Probably reading for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Dr. Smith was actually trying to put together a reading group within our club that I'm pretty excited about. We don't have any plans for sure, but hopefully, at least if nobody else is willing to, then I'm going to anyway.
A one-on-one reading
Yeah,
group.
sure.
That's where I read Human Action.
Yeah.
I knew I wanted to go to graduate school when I was an undergraduate. I had a really good mentor who believed I had some talent, and said, we should really work through this book just on Friday afternoons. We got together from 3 to 5 on Friday afternoons. Now, there aren't many professors who want to be here at 3 on a Friday
Yeah.
afternoon, and then we were reading Human Action and like deep epistemology from 3
Yeah.
to 5, and it was really rewarding, and I hope you enjoy it, even if n equals 1. Yeah, and there are so many opportunities now for students to get involved. Institute for Humane Studies has summer programs, and we're doing some teaching up in Birmingham this summer, so you guys hopefully will take good advantage of that material too. Do you find that there's just a lot of excitement right now because of what's happened since 2008? When you look at campuses, is the mood generally one of indifference, or do you feel like people are kind of interested in learning more about these things? I know everyone's busy, that's a constant, but
yeah, well, it seems like the majority is still pretty indifferent, 50, 60, 70% maybe, but there's this tireless minority who seems to be working constantly, and it's growing every day. So hopefully soon that minority will become the majority, and hopefully they agree with me.
Or else, right?
Right, or else.
That no harm principle is really kind of constraining you if they don't agree. Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about what you guys want to do. I hate this question, and I hated it when I was your age, but what do you plan on doing after your time at Troy? Are there plans to go on with your education, or plans to try to advance liberty in your career somehow?
Well, if there was an opportunity to, then I would really enjoy that. But being a computer science major, I'm going to be writing programs from the day I'm out of here. I'm just trying to, be as productive as I can and make as much money as I can, just right out of school.
Which is something we'd say is valuable too.
Absolutely.
That whole invisible hand thing.
Yeah.
Do what's in your self-interest, and hopefully it'll be good. Is there a market for like libertarian video games, or something that you could put your programming talents to? One that like has anarchy being stable, perhaps.
There might be. It's a good idea. I could definitely pitch it to somebody at this point.
It's funny, the overlap between libertarian academics and an interest in either sci-fi or like role-playing games. So it seems like there'd be some market opportunities there. And you have an internship at CGI, I understand.
I
do.
Yeah. They gave me a call this morning, and
Excellent.
I accepted immediately.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah. And Hannah, do you have any idea where things are headed after?
I plan to go to graduate school and then on to get my PhD. And as far as libertarianism within that, I suppose whenever I state up my own personal practice, I would like to influence people within themselves to strive for liberty and for personal freedom. But of course I couldn't advocate any sort of political ideology, but definitely.
There are, Rand, of course, has some ideas about human rationality that you can read about. But a psychiatrist named Thomas Schaas, I don't know if you're familiar with his work, but he's very famous for having written a book called The Myth of Mental Illness, and he did some other work that really turned a lot of psychological diagnoses on their head, saying, these are issues where if an individual can, pull themselves together, it's a very autonomous message, and I have no idea if there are followers of Schaas in psychology, but
there's a whole program, which is actually what I'm getting into at University of West Georgia, and it's dedicated to existentialist psychology, and it focuses on the individual, and it states that there's no diseases or anything. It's all like, you have the power to get out of those things. That's very phenomenal.
And there's a graduate program there? Okay, excellent. So one more year for each of you all.
Well, I have
at
two.
Troy? You have two.
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah, I've got about 20 months.
Okay. Are you thinking about how to keep the club going after you all are done at Troy? We don't want to just have it fall into like my lap.
Yeah.
we need more students who want to just keep the energy and excitement up. Do you feel like there's a pipeline behind you?
Hopefully,
Uh-huh.
we're trying to breed them anyway.
Yeah.
Just try to get minds in the right spot, and hopefully by the time we're both out of here, then we'll see this one shining light of somebody that's in the club who can continue it and work as hard as we do.
Yeah. And how can students, we're running short on time, but how can students learn more about the club? Is it best just to look for you, or is there any kind of formal site?
We've got a Facebook group,
Okay.
but it's closed, so I'm not sure if you can search for
You
it.
can ask to join, maybe. I don't think
yeah.
it's
Okay.
secret.
Okay.
But anybody's welcome at our meetings.
Yeah.
We meet at 5 o'clock on Monday nights
Mm-hmm.
in the Johnson Center Library in Bibb Graves Hall.
Mm-hmm.
So if anybody's interested, then come on down.
And I think it might be easiest to also just let anyone know who's interested to just come by the Johnson Center suite, and we'll plug that person in with you guys,
Oh,
and
fantastic.
make sure that they get there. And our suite's in Bibb Graves, room 137, and it's a big long suite with several people in it who would all be excited if anyone's interested. So I sure appreciate what you all are doing. It's really one of the things that just I feel very encouraged about and excited. It's why I got into this business, and it's good when you're reminded of that from time to time. So congratulations on being done with another year, or close to done, and good luck with your summer plans, and thank you again.
Yes, sir.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you. And thank you, viewers, for tuning in tonight. Good night.